Good morning, Texas. This is your long overdue April faculty meeting update. You'll recall that when we had our April faculty meeting, we were able to have the morning session successfully. And then the afternoon session, we had to truncate quite a bit because we had some nasty weather that allegedly was rolling in. Now, that was the Wednesday night that the weather actually did not roll in, but hey, we all got a nifty little night off, I guess, that evening. But what we did miss is a lot of the content of the faculty meeting. Basically, this particular faculty meeting was a little more of a sit and get informational kind of deal. We did, of course, our employee service awards, and we went ahead and did those in the afternoon meeting as well. But what we didn't get to is a lot of just the updates and content that actually are pretty important updates, because if you've not received this information, you might be feeling a little bit in the dark on some things. And so want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get that out. So I've got some little notes off here to the side, so you'll see me looking off to the side. Please don't be distracted by that. That's just me making sure that I don't forget anything at my ripe old age. So one of the first things that we went over was semester exam schedule. Todd ran that by the staff. You've since actually seen a copy of that schedule, and so that's out and available to you. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to contact your department chair or Todd, and they can bring you up to date on that. We gave you an update on the master schedule process. A lot of that has been work collaboratively through the department chairs, through our assistant principals, and of course Todd, sitting down together and hashing through the sections that we need to offer, the people we have available, and who are the best teachers to match up with each of the offerings that we have for our kids, trying to put our very best teachers in our very best places, kind of like the old, let's see, what was it, Good to Great, where we say we're going to put the right people in the right seats on the right bus. And so that's what we're trying to do here at Northwest. And so that work continues, and we're trying to be open and collaborative with the scheduling process. If you feel at all in the dark on that process, just ask a question. Most of the time, either your department chair or the assistant principal who is overseeing your content area, or Todd, will have an answer for you. And then, of course, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have as well. Most of the time, those are going to be go see Todd because he's got all the details, but I am more than happy to help you with that as well. It's never our goal to make people feel in the dark about their teaching assignments next year. I know, having been a teacher myself many, many moons ago, that your schedule is your world. That's what you live by. And so the things that you're teaching and the place where you're located and the things that you're assigned to do, that is your world. And so it's understandable that you want to know and understand what's going on with respect to that. And so we certainly want to respect that and keep everybody in the loop. We talked about the search for a new associate principal. Now, at that time, I was guiding everyone through what the process looks like. I'll kind of give you a retrospect on that if you've not already seen it. I believe I put a blurb in the Daily Messenger to try to keep everybody in the loop on that. But we did have a hiring process. Our process was we had a screening process where we brought about 11 people. By the way, we had almost 80 applicants for that position, so it was a highly sought after position. We narrowed it down to 11 or 12 people that we invited to submit a video interview where they answered some specific questions for us. From that, a committee from the administration building and me narrowed it down to 6 applicants that we brought in for committee interviews. And the committee consisted of a few central admin folks, a few folks from here on campus, and Winston and Shannon and me. We were all in that process. And so we had some teachers in the process, we had a counseling representative in the process, and just trying to have as many people represented in that as possible. We did do interviews, and actually as of the time of this recording, which is actually happening much later than I would have liked, we're already in May now, but we are about to name a new associate principal this evening at the school board meeting, and I'll put a note in Daily Messenger regarding that as well. Very difficult to replace our current associate, Todd Rogers. He's done a fabulous job for us. I asked him to come in and do 2 things when he came to campus. One was to establish a culture of academics, and 2 was to really help us develop a student-centered approach to scheduling training to class placement to student support. And so those were the things I charged him with doing coming in. He's done those very well, and we'll anticipate hiring in a new associate to be able to pick up right where he's leaving off on that and not miss a beat. We talked about scholarships. As of that time, we were still trying to round up seniors to get down to the counseling office and submit their scholarship offers. And of course, the new education piece, I think, for a lot of our kids, at least, or so they claim, was that they didn't understand that they were to submit their scholarship offers. They thought that they were just to submit the ones that they had accepted. And so when we informed them of that, and then essentially kind of took them and walked them down to counseling to see Charlene and the counselors and get those things recorded, the numbers started to go up all of a sudden. So last year at Legacy Awards, I remember opening up my program and seeing the total there and seeing $7.8 million in scholarships. And I thought, okay, that might be something that we can work on and improve for next year. That was me a year ago this week, essentially. And so sure enough, we did, y'all. And what we did is we stopped saying, oh, woe is us, the kids aren't going to bring in the scholarships, they're not going to do it on their own, that kind of thing, and just kind of wringing our hands and feeling sad that they wouldn't bring them in. Instead, what we did this year, and credit to all of you, and especially some of our senior teachers, particularly our senior English teachers, y'all got out there and rounded them up and said, nah, we're not going to take that for an answer. As a matter of fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take these kids and we're going to physically walk them down to the counseling office, and or we're going to take hold of that spreadsheet ourselves, and we're going to take charge of this situation. And we're going to get these scholarship offers recorded so these kiddos can be recognized. And at this point, today, as of this recording, we are at $16.9 million. So we are at more than twice where we were at graduation time last year, which was 7.9. So the beauty of this is not the number. The beauty of this is the recognition that the students get. But an even bigger piece of that is that we came together as a staff, and instead of saying, we feel bad that the kids are not stepping up and reporting these amounts, or we feel bad that the parents are not stepping up and reporting these amounts. Instead, as a staff, we said, you know what? We're going to take charge of this, and we're going to make this happen. And we pulled together, and we made it happen, and in a very, very big way. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how our students' scholarship amounts actually compare to other area high schools. That's always a little competitive piece, and I think we did pretty well, y'all, so it's pretty exciting. The other thing we talked about was strategic priorities for next year. And so you'll see some posters. In fact, you'll see them at the next faculty meeting that have to do with being a school that is focused on character and cultural responsiveness and responsiveness to one another. I call that a student-centered caring majority. And by caring majority, we're talking about most of us care about one another. In fact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a majority of people who care about one another and actively do so. We'll talk about some strategies for that in the next faculty meeting. Talking about social and emotional learning, the district has done a really good job of laying a foundation of work for social and emotional learning. And we're going to start with educating our staff on social and emotional learning as we go into next year. So we'll start with staff first, laying that groundwork, and then we'll move more into a student initiative with that. We are going to talk about systems and processes as we go into next year. How can we make our systems and processes student-centered? And you'll see student-centered in just about everything I put out there for you as we work on our goals for next year. We've got to come from a place, and I think each of us as individuals is student-centered, but as a staff, what systems and processes are we putting in place that are genuinely student-centered? Are they centered around adult convenience? Are they centered around tradition that we've had in place for 70 years? We're about to celebrate our 70th anniversary. Are they centered around what has been convenient over the years? what has worked in the past, those kinds of things, or are we really being student-centered and responsive to our students and responsive to the culture and climate that's present in our building today? So those are things that we'll look at, and we'll look at strategies to work with that. And so we'll talk about key strategies. A key strategy continues to be added. We're working very hard. Mr. Barnhart and I are working very hard to hire the very best Avid site coordinator that we can have as we go into this coming school year. We'll have some students engage in that process, and we should narrow it down and have our Avid site coordinator named by the end of this week. And that person will help us forge forward with taking Avid campus-wide and using those strategies to help every student to increase their level of success, to increase the level of rigor in our classrooms, and to increase the level of student-centered engagement that we have going on in our building, working on that culture of academics. Another key initiative is the beginnings of a freshman academy. Now, we've got a committee that's coming together actually this week to discuss possible room placements for a freshman academy, trying to get the freshmen in close proximity with one another, trying to get the freshman teachers in close proximity with one another. I don't want us to lose sight of the purpose of that. The purpose of that is to get our freshmen and our freshman teachers closer together so that we don't lose the freshmen in the shuffle. It is not about blowing up where people currently have their rooms. It is not about blowing up departmentalization. We're not trying to scatter social studies all over the building. We're not trying to scatter English all over the building. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to keep everybody together and also have freshmen in close proximity with one another. And we're trying to be collaborative in working through that. And Ryan's pulling together a team to review that. They're actually going to look on the map and try to put things together. The freshman initiative will not roll out in full this year. There's no way that that can happen practically. There's no way you can have it implemented in the full depth and fidelity that it needs to be. There's a lot of things that need to happen in building a proper freshman initiative, and we know that. And we know that it's going to take time and it's going to be slow. We're going to send some people for training this year. We're carefully selecting our freshman teachers for this year. And then we're carefully considering the placement of our freshmen for the majority of their classes. That's really all we're looking at as we're going into next year. And then as that freshman team builds and the momentum builds, then we'll be able to put some really strong practices in place to help better serve our freshmen. Freshman year is a make or break year. We are reading a book now, several of us are reading a book right now called Make or Break Year, and just talking about how important it is to wrap our arms around our freshmen and make sure that they're successful. And so we're working on that. Texan Academy will continue for next year. That is for us to catch the kiddos that we didn't catch in the past when they were freshmen. These are the freshmen that went through the cracks and now are trying to recoup credit. We have 17-year-olds in this building who are still classified as freshmen. That's not okay. We have kiddos who are hanging on to just a handful of courses before they can graduate. People who should have graduated this year who did not graduate, and that's not okay. We've got to be able to work on that. And so we've tapped Kelly Wintrick, who is going to come in and spearhead that work in Texan Academy and move it forward so that we can work on two ends of the spectrum. So we've got the freshmen where we're trying to wrap our arms around them and make sure that they're successful from the minute they walk in the building, teaching them how to do high school, teaching them how to be successful. And then also we're working to recoup the kids that we didn't catch previously and trying to make sure that they are successful and they get to where they need to be. I already talked to you about character education. We're working on hiring staff to better reflect the representation of our students across our campus. That's something we're being really intentional about this year. Looking for staff that reflect the various cultural, racial, ethnic representations that we have across our building. People who have backgrounds similar to some of the kiddos that are coming into our community. We've got to diversify our staffing to better reflect the diversity of our student body. And so that's something that we're working on. And then training and development, the pieces that we'll bring in for training and development as we come in for next year. We're going to train more people in Avid. We've got 16 people going to Avid Summer Institute next year. We'll continue to bring in training pieces and ways to help our staff across the building be able to integrate strategies from Avid. We're going to bring in some kind of training, either Ruby Pain, talking about emotional poverty, or